Hey, what's good, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I just want to have a discussion about the new Sky Striker cards that are announced. There's one new one that was announced this week, and then there are four that were announced like a month or two ago or something. But I want to talk about those and talk about what they mean for the Striker deck, what they mean for the general meta, like usage, and what I think might be coming. So, and we'll start with the newest announcement, Sky Striker Ace Camellia. So, this one was just announced a couple days ago. It's a Link 2. Two effect monsters must be link summoned, so we cannot summon it with linkage. You can only special summon Camellia once per turn, and its effect is once per turn. If you have 3 or less spells in your graveyard, you can send one Sky Striker card from your deck to the graveyard. Pretty much it fuels, it's like Hayate without your battle phase, but it's a Link 2. And then it says, if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one monster your opponent controls, special summon this card to their field, and if you do, send that monster to the graveyard. Also shift control to this card's owner during the end phase, so you would get it back. So let's talk about this one because there's a lot here, and let's process it a little bit. So first of all, two effect monsters. The fact that this is a Link 2 is a problem for Striker. Striker is not a deck that puts more than one monster on the board, and you know, let's see how we might even do that. So one way to get two effect monsters fairly easily is Hornet Drones. But no, you can't even do that because you would have to go Hornet Drones into Kagari, and then you would have another Hornet Drones, but that's not an effect monster. So you can't even summon this with single Hornet Drones. You can't summon it by stealing a monster with a Widow or Shark Cannon because, well, you could, but it's only relevant if you have fewer than 3 spells in your grave. So that's going to be a problem. We can't summon it using our opponent's monsters. So that leaves us to either have like Ray plus Rose or like Drones plus Rose or something like Talent Steal or Change of Heart, which means you have to make it going second, and there's no way you're going to spend 2 monsters just to put a spell in your grave going second. So just making this thing is a pain in the ass, and I don't see it being relevant to Striker. Note that it is 2 effect monsters and not any, it's generic effect monsters. It's not specific to Striker. So something we could see is having, some other deck using this to dump something like Engage, and then you link summon into Kagari to add back your Engage. And that's like, it's a way that you might see it in another strategy. And honestly, I think that's too much to go through to get a single Engage, especially if you draw your Engage, then you're down 2 monsters in your extra deck. I don't think it's going to be played in Striker, and I don't think it's really going to be played in anything else at the moment. Let's talk about the other effect. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one monster your opponent controls. Okay, so they have to have a monster, obviously. This is like a going second scenario. Special summon this card to their field, and if you do, send that monster to their grave. So you replace their monster with this monster. You give them a Link 2. You know, if you're playing against a Link deck, that's not so good. And then you get this card back in the end phase if it doesn't get linked off. However, note that you can only special summon Sky Striker Ace Camellia once per turn. So you cannot link summon this, link it off, and then give it to your opponent, because you've summoned it to your field, and now you cannot summon it to their field to do the effect. So you pretty much have to end on Camellia and then have a way to either clear it yourself as an interruption or just hope your opponent clears it and you get the effect off yourself. It's just not great. I don't see, at first glance, any real use for this card. I don't think it's going to be played. It's worse than Zeke. It's worse than Hayate. It's just a mess, in my opinion. There's too many restrictions. There's no real easy way to summon this in Striker. So, yeah, those are my first impressions of this card. Maybe I'm wrong. Now let's talk about Azalea, which is the Link 2 that was announced a couple months ago, but I never really talked about it, so I want to just go over that. So this requires 2 light and or dark monsters, so it's not completely generic, but it can be used in a lot of stuff. Must be link summoned. Can't summon it with linkage. Okay. You can only special summon this once per turn, same as all the other striker links. If this card is special summoned, you can target one card on the field, destroy it. Then if you have 3 or less spells in your grave, send this card to the grave. So it's like Diamond Direwolf Link 2. And it clears itself. It's like Donner, but you can only do it when you have or when you're using light or dark monsters. So it's kind of cool, actually. It's kind of generic removal, which is fine. And if you happen to have 3 or more spells, or if you have more than 3 spells in your graveyard, you get to keep the link too on top of that. So that's kind of cool. Once per turn, at the start of the damage step, if this card battles an opponent's monster, you can banish 1 spell from your grave, destroy that opponent's monster. So it's kind of just generic removal for light and dark decks, which is not so bad. This card has generic use potential. Just in Sky Striker itself, not so much. Maybe. I don't know. You can make it, you can't make it with Hornet Drones because Drones is a dark, but Kagari is a fire, and this requires light and darks only. So you can't make it with Drones. You'd have to go Ray plus Rose, or Ray or Rose plus Drones, or you have to steal a monster that's a light or a dark. So that's a very specific, complicated way to go about making this thing. We already said it. Strikers are not going to put 2 monsters on the field very regularly, and you can't reliably make them light and dark. So yeah, this is kind of a win more card almost. If you're summoning a light and a dark in your Sky Striker board, you're probably doing fine anyway. So I think it's going to be much better for other decks than it is for Striker. For example, Dragon Link, it's a removal tool for Dragon Link, or a removal tool for I don't know, Phantom Knight or something, but it's just an interesting potential here. And now there are 3 more main deck cards. I don't know if you guys know about these, but we have Wisdom Magus Himmel, War Magus Akos, and Love Magus Celia. Sela. These are Earth, Fire, and Water cards, and all of them in the effect say that they are always treated as a Sky Striker card. I don't know if this is some kind of lore thing, but these cards are horrendous. It's either that, or Konami is taking Striker and making it a completely different strategy, and there's a lot more support coming, because as it stands, these cards do not fit in your traditional Striker deck whatsoever. All of them have the effect where you can discard 1 spell to special summon this card from your hand. That's pretty garbage, and they're all level 5 or higher. We have 2 5s and a 6, so you can't normal summon these without tribute. So you have to discard a spell to special it. And then they all do something to protect your link monsters. So when this one, if your opponent activates a card effect that targets a link you control, you can banish 2 spells from your grave, negate that effect. Sky Striker does not want to banish 2 spells from its graveyard, especially when games last like 1 to 2 turns. You're probably only going to have around 3 in there anyway, and I would much rather have my spell effects than having this protection thing. Plus, these are all, effect monsters in the main monster zone. You can't use your Striker spells when these are out, and they're only treated as a Sky Striker card, not Sky Striker Ace card. And stuff like Kagari or Shizuku Hayate Kaina, they all require a Sky Striker Ace monster. So I don't know if there's a translation thing going on. Maybe these are treated as a Sky Striker Ace monster, but right now you cannot even link into your Striker links with these guys. So I don't know what's going on. But they're pretty much trash. You don't really have to read them. You can just read them to have disbelief about, what kind of support Striker is getting. This one says you can banish 1 spell from your grave, give control of this card to your opponent, and if you do, summon 1 Sky Striker Ace monster from your graveyard. So you can revive a Ray by discarding a spell card and giving your opponent a monster. That's just not going to do anything good. But all of these, when they're destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to the grave, they return a banished Sky Striker spell to your hand. So obviously they banish spells to protect your links, and then when they leave the field by destruction, you get those spells back. But no, it's just total garbage. So I don't really know what's going on with this support. Maybe there's a new strategy coming, a new like set, like a new archetype, an archetype rework for Striker. I don't know why. Like, they could have made these normal Sky Striker Ace cards level 4 and we would have been okay. But these are just unplayable. The links, they're playable, but not really in Striker. They're playable in other generic decks. So, yeah, that's what I think about these cards. What do you guys think about them? Leave a comment below. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the content, and we'll see you guys later.